Hello everyone, I'm Plasma Warriors, and they like to call me that guy with the afro. Okay, so now it's review time of Comicpalooza 2019, and before I begin, once more I have to give a shout out to my friends at the Houston Pathfinder Society. Again, I always say this, and I'm not kidding. I've been through a lot of games. I've met a lot of people, San Antonio, Houston, and Georgia now. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, get involved with the Pathfinder Society around your location. I'm not kidding, they've been the best gaming group I have ever worked with, no matter where they are. No ego, no drama, nothing negative to say about them. So please, if you've got the opportunity, I know a lot of you understand the mechanics of basically 3.5 Dungeons and Dragons, in other words. Just go look them up. I'm not kidding, they are amazing people. Definitely take a look at them. So I worked with them this weekend instead of working for the convention. That's why I have a 3-day badge instead of a usual volunteer one. So yet again, we're back to a point where I'm sitting here. Con's pretty much over. It's supposed to go to 8 o'clock, but let's be honest, it's 7 something now, and it's pretty much all done and over with. Yeah, the sun's starting to set around here. It's a little late in May, so it's still up for a bit of time. Generally, though, let's start off with the things about the convention that I didn't really have time to see, but I knew happened. Starting with the guest list. Now, to be fair, I'm not always in it for the guests. I love looking at them. Unfortunately, I just didn't have time this year. They had the voices of the Animaniacs. I can't remember their names off the top of my head. Yakko, Wacko, and Dot, the people who voiced them. I know one of them has like a Vern podcast going on. I haven't been able to see it myself just because I've got other priorities right now. And it's been one of those things that I know of. I just haven't been able to get past, life. And in the next few days, I have to go back to it and start looking to find a new apartment. But long story short, the guest list is always amazing here. Above all else, who was that Game of Thrones person they had? I don't know Game of Thrones. Don't look at me and ask me what Game of Thrones character is this, because I don't know. They've always had great guests. They've had some NASA people who went on space shuttles this time around, which I thought was pretty cool. I'll get to that point about guests in a moment, but let's just say sometimes having the right guests at the right time is more important than what we're getting in some cases. Explain that in a moment. One thing I really loved about it was the dealer's room is full of artists. It's not just by your usual pop figures. They have artists aplenty around here. Different kinds of people with different kinds of likes and stuff. I didn't get to see the people I was looking for in my previous videos. Sorry, I was, busy. I owed a friend lunch. Somebody owes me lunch. Now 2 people owe me lunch next time I see them. Haha, So there were a lot of good artists. There were some good general vendors. I saw a few gamer vending groups. I didn't really see that many of those, but it was just artists. And there's not a lot of artist representation in a lot of conventions in the dealer's room. So I thought that was cool. Not a lot of 18 and up stuff though. I saw one person, I even said, you'll see it in one of my videos. I'm trying to be careful not to show that stuff because there's some of that stuff that was adult. I can't show it on YouTube. And they said, take a look at this. I said, okay, sure. So I got to be careful when I look at the video again to see if my video doesn't get taken down at that point. But we'll cross that bridge when I get to it. Maybe do a little bit of editing for the first time in a while. So there were a lot of good artists. There were a few... I wouldn't say a few people that I recognized because I was too busy doing other stuff. But the tabletop gaming was very good. Start there. Of course, Pathfinder Society, they're here almost every year. They're coming back next year as far as I can tell. I mean, they don't have D&D encounters here, so this was kind of like the group that you're going to have to work with. I mean, I don't know if D&D encounters doesn't want to come here or not, but Houston Pathfinder Society has always been good about going to conventions. Delta HCon, are you listening to me? I hope you are. I'm not politicking for you guys, I'm just saying. Dragon Slayer in Houston also put out a collection of card games, board games, stuff like that. So that wasn't a problem. They had some old school consoles here, but they had too much of the same thing. You could tell they were very much trying to get people to play 5 or 6 different games. I mean, they had a modern gaming room, but again, it feels like everything was the same game. It felt like Anime Matsuri 2011, where all it was is Smash Brothers. It kind of felt like that here. It was Mario Kart, it was Dr. Mario, it was MVC2. That's about it. There were other things, but it wasn't really that fancy. Generally speaking, it could have been better. It just wasn't up to that point. So, you know, it happens. Now, I do have to talk about the guests. In particular, again, I understand some people come from a long distance for these conventions, and people want you to pay for their autographs and photo ops. I'm not too picky about some of that. You know, Chuck Norris, I can understand. Gates McFadden, who played Beverly Crusher on Star Trek. Okay, well, okay, I can kind of get that one. A lot of those people were from My Hero Academia. I have not seen the anime, so I cannot talk about the quality, but I've gotten a lot of their autographs for free. I've gotten Britley Kowalski's autograph multiple times, Monica Rial's autograph multiple times, J. Michael Turner's at least once. So when people are being charged for these voice actors who we know normally nowhere else charges up for them, that's a problem. And I don't know if that's the convention, I don't know if it was the VAs who did it, but I'm sorry, that's an issue. It needs to get rectified. It really does. I'm not sure you understand this, but I'm not going to stand in line for autographs that I've gotten 5,000 times already for $30, $40. That doesn't make any sense. And I'm a firm believer of you shouldn't charge people your autograph anyway. I mean, you just shouldn't be, oh, I'm a big name superstar, I should be getting this much money. It's so annoying when people do that. Now, I didn't really volunteer for this convention. I really did. So I don't know the total amount of who did this and that was, but I am getting sick of seeing the volunteers treated kind of like, you know. I have no problem with you taking care of some of these things, but when you're talking, you've got to pay $30 for this autograph, $40 for that autograph, $100 for this photo op, and you're just serving pizza basically throughout the whole convention. Some people are vegan. Don't do this, okay? You should help your volunteers out by serving something that's not, you know, McDonald's. I get you that. I don't believe that every convention should be the same, but generally, if you're going to make sure your volunteers are okay, please, for the love of God, give them something other than the same fat food that's been going on for the last 3 years. I really have a problem with how they treat them like, whatever, here's your pizza, now go. I have a bigger issue really with, I don't know if they still did this, but I had this one year. You're gonna have to pay at a discounted rate your hotel room for crash space. I'm sorry, no, this is a convention that I'm having to pay for an anime voice actor's autograph? No, they shouldn't be charging for that. And sometimes there are levels of conventions that the smaller ones usually take care of the people better. Like Delta HCon takes care of its people really well. Even San Japan, I've been critical about them. They do the same thing. Why can't Comicpalooza? I'm having a bit of a problem with these larger conventions in general. And this is also with Dragon Con, don't get me wrong. I love Dragon Con to death. I love the people who work there. but you cannot charge people $40 for an autograph, no matter who it is, and say, hey, you know what? You're one of like 500 people we need. Pay us $45, $50 for a hotel room or more. I don't get that. I mean, you can't come up with some kind of plan or something? It just doesn't make any sense. Also, I know this is some people's favorite little subject nowadays, but I'm going to be honest with you. Esports just isn't going to work. Okay, esports is not going to help you at all. You're not going to gain anything from having the esports community be represented. And that's basically what half of the top section where the gaming stuff was just esports. Look, I'm sorry. People don't come to conventions for esports. I have to be honest with you. They generally don't come for gaming as a whole unless the convention is a gaming convention system. Like at Gen Con. People just don't care, generally. I mean, don't get me wrong. Good job and all that for some of you people. I've been critical about tournament rules and stuff before. That's not what I'm talking about. But Overwatch League, of all things, can barely make 15,000 views on Twitch. What makes you think you're going to get 500 people to get into that one spot? I think it was better served, honestly, to have Booker T's Reality of Wrestling in that spot. I know Booker T is trying to do something different. He's trying to come up with his own convention, and it looks pretty good. They just signed Ric Flair for something, but generally speaking, it would have been better to serve that place for something different. And again, I'm not going to hammer the point home 5,000 times about gaming tournament rules being need to change and all that in this case. It's just esports is not working. It's just not there. Somebody said that, oh, well, now just as important as the actual athletes who play basketball. Yeah, I had to bring that one up. My Rockets got beat in Game 6. The point, though, is no, you're not. I can tell you you're not. Are you playing DDR? No. Sorry, you're not nearly as skilled as some of these people who are taking the field on Sundays. Bottom line is, the gaming, it's a hit or miss. Tabletop gaming, stupendous. Lovely. Amazing. I recommend going to the tabletop game room next year again and again and again and again and again. That is awesome. The gaming on the electronic side has not been very good at all. I didn't see a single DDR machine around here. Hey, I'm a standard player DDR. I know that's basically a con staple. I'm 35 years old and I can still rock A's on light fat max 300. No problem. I mean, as a gamer, it's annoying to see this kind of like, oh, there's only one type of gaming that's really great. And it's been amazing. Make no mistake. Pathfinder Society has been amazing no matter where they go. But I'm sorry, there's just not enough gaming that makes sense here. Now, this is the bottom line problem I have with Comicpalooza. I know it's run, I believe, by the city of Houston. That's not the problem. But it feels like it's so hollow. I'm not talking just the spirit is hollow. I'm not talking just they're trying to put it out for geek culture and forget everything else. No, that's not the problem. I felt like they didn't have enough people in here. I know the weather was bad. Okay, that's the point. But it wasn't horrible on Saturday. In fact, it was still, okay. Not tremendously bad. Not gonna pour down rain. I was worried that I wasn't even gonna be here on Friday morning because of what happened with all the weather. I ended up making it okay, so no problems there. I'm able to go back home okay, hopefully, so no problems there. It's just, it doesn't feel like they're bringing enough people in. Even with the great guests, they didn't seem like they were bringing enough people in. I don't know what to tell you about that. You've got to have, I don't know the numbers, but if you see my videos, you see how easily I was able to walk through the dealer's room. Those videos were done on Saturday afternoon around 2 or 3. If I can move around a dealer's room that easily at a convention of this size, you're not drawing enough people in. It should be a bit of a harder walk. Of course, orderly, but still hard to get around. And I was in the middle of the dealer's room, able to just get right through and to and from. And I've been to Onicon, and I've had harder times getting through a smaller dealer's room with less people, technically speaking. So the numbers aren't there. It's just not that financially strong. Now, as for next year, I have a bit of an issue here. I like the idea of Comicpalooza. I really do. I believe it's a solid convention. Needs to get worked on its events a little more. The way they handle events seems to be just meh. Here's where this is, go over there. I don't think they actually have a lot of good programming setup. I mean, the programming is great, you know. Geeks 5 Ever hosted another DBZ panel. Cool. But just the moving pieces and where to go, and this is supposed to be here, this is supposed to be there, you're supposed to be on this point, you're supposed to be on that point. It just felt like it didn't really matter. And I know about the whole Monica Real situation. I'm not even going to talk about that right now. I don't know how it played out here, but the general issue with this is it's so much of a hassle for me to get everything set up. I don't know if I want to come back next year. It's not even the Pathfinder Society's fault. I'm not mashing up. I'm not trash talking the Pathfinder Society. They've been great. It's just the effort, the energy, the amount of here and there. It's just getting so difficult for me personally to go over to. It's just so hard. And I know this is going to sound a little ranty about that, but I feel like Comicpalooza has the opportunity to be better than it's been in the last 2 or 3 years, and it just never seems to get there. It has the ability to be better in the gaming for sure. I mean, put Pathfinder Society in your game room, Delta H-Con, and you're halfway there. I mean, I'm serious. You're halfway done already. No problem. They pretty much run a lot of the convention gaming here anyway, so why not? You know, Dragon's Lair, you're halfway there too. That simple, and it's not that hard to do. I mean, these guys work pretty decently for a convention. I'm just gonna get to the point though. The problem isn't with the guests, the problem isn't with the gaming on the tabletop side. It's just, I don't know if this is going to go in the right direction for the fans. It just feels like they tried too hard to be a little bit of everything and really bring you nothing. Except for the tabletop gaming. That was awesome. I'm not saying it's a bad convention. I'm not saying it's a good convention. I'm saying maybe it's just in the wrong sense of conventions in general. Not to insult the fans. The fans are amazing. I saw some really good cosplayers. I sent a picture of forgot what it was. I'll remember it sometime otherwise. I have videos up of cosplayers all the way up and down this weekend. So again, if you're in one of my videos, go ahead and tag yourself. But in general, I just felt like this year, it's just not there. I mean, it's just not to the level we want. As for next year, again, it's just so much of a hassle. And I'm not even talking about Pathfinder. That was the easy part. I mean, I only had to print out one big map, and that wasn't too hard. You know, no big deal. I just feel like I can do better. But next year does have the benefit of being on Memorial Day weekend. So you're getting a lot of people who are out of school for that moment. So that's a possibility that might help a little bit. I'm just not sure which direction I'm going to take. I probably will go next year. But, how do I put this? I just don't know if it's going to be in the same capacity. Now, I'm going to make sure sometime in January if that's going to be the case. Of course, now I know for sure when my next convention that I know is going to happen is going to happen. It's going to be Delta H-Con. No, Dragon Con actually is my next convention, and that's Labor Day weekend. So if I'm looking at my convention list so far, from where I am now to where I'm supposed to be later, it's going to be, if I go to Comicpalooza, it's going to be Comicpalooza, then maybe a convention like Delta H-Con is going to be in the middle, and then Dragon Con. But it's a long gap for me right now. It's about, from here, June, July, August, September, 4 months before I know I'm going to my next con. I might go to some smaller events. I might do some other things, but right now I've got 4 months to get ready for my next convention. And then it's 1, 2, 3, one after another, after another, another. I've got Dragon Con, then Delta H Con, then possibly Onicon. And that's really my convention year right now. Next year, I might be focusing on a different convention. I might be able to do San Japan again, although I probably won't do that anymore. If they keep it on Labor Day weekend, there's no chance of that happening. My out-of-state con will be Dragon Con. But I'm also thinking of going toward the West Coast a little bit more. I'm going to Onicon this year for sure. It's my home con. I try to go to it every year. I missed it once. I probably won't try to miss it again. But until then, I don't know what my con season next year is going to look like. But right now, I've got 4 months basically until my next convention happens. So I'm going to be doing a lot more videos about conventioning than actual convention videos. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. So please like, share, and subscribe for more content. And again, I'm going to be at Dragon Con this year, Labor Day weekend in Atlanta, Georgia. I'll probably be the first person you see on Friday because I'll be volunteering as a security guy with a big megaphone telling you where to go to get your badges. So look for me there, and until then, later.